Can you just say Derek Zoolander for me, and then we can get on with it.
But you're Derek Zoolander.
Can we just not record a podcast? Can we just do this? Can we just do this for an hour?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know how to start these things off. I mean, when's the last time I did a show? I don't know, Monday?
Yeah, don't talk to me about time between shows, alright? We're at a month we're at a month of show at the minute, and it's just tasty.
Wow. Just getting the octave. Wow.
Hello everybody, and welcome to We're Not Wizards, a podcast about board games. I am your host, Richard. I'm joined by someone who likes video games.
What the...
Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Paddy.
Do you know what? I've realised I can't do a Scottish accent as well as I thought. I can do a generic Scottish accent.
Not.
Generic Scottish accent's pish easy, but I can't do specific ones.
You've just got to be very loud or very threatening, or do the ASMR stuff and go, I'm from Scotland, you know.
Well, it's like Billy Connolly did the thing. There's two Scottish accents. There's up here, and then there's
that's Irish,
and then there's the lovely lilting one.
There's
you definitely
look at that.
Towards the lilting, I think.
I know. I'm not kind of angry enough. I can't get angry enough, but that doesn't make for very, very good podcasting. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Mr. Patrick Smith.
Thanks.
Who's from the Twin Humanities, or the Humanities, and who's a generally awesome, wonderful person. He's been on the show before. In fact,
that's 2 times. This is number 3.
2 times.
This is the hat trick.
This is the triple.
Yeah, it's been ages, isn't it?
It's been a while, because things happen with schedules and stuff like that. And then last week, I ended up having to go to the hospital with my boy, which is why we didn't record. So that's why we're doing it this week instead.
To be honest, it was a blessing in disguise, because I was knackered. So, in a way, this is better, because I have my full reserve of energy right now. I'm primed, full of just good dice chat. I'm just ready to go.
I'm pumped and I'm ready to go. I suppose we better kind of say hello to everybody proper. Hello everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for listening.
What's up?
Yeah, for people who haven't listened before, the reason that we do this is because we wholeheartedly believe that there simply isn't enough podcasts out there about board games.
Just isn't. You look on your iTunes and you type in Board James and you don't get anything.
Nothing at all. It's a barren desert of listening. That's what it is. And the other reason that we do this is because I like Paddy a lot. Got a lot of time for him. He does a fantastic podcast of his own with the rather wonderful and amazing Mr. CJ. Oh. And it was about time he came back on, because we are going to be talking about some Soulsness.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about a bit of cardboard, because Dark Souls has been out a little while. Bloodborne card game's been out a little while. There's also, just like any traditional kind of epic kind of journey that's going to happen, there's going to be a moment of sadness partially through the episode. I'm just going to warn you, trigger warnings for people that maybe get a little bit upset about wetting certain parts of their games. We're not going to go into it, just warning.
No, it's still a little bit raw, but we'll get there. I need to work up to it. We'll get there later. We'll come back to that. That's a lead. You put that in your podcast bonnet, and remember that.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. We'll put a marker. We'll put a marker to make sure people are aware, so they can skip past it if they need to. But how are you doing anyway? How's things?
I'm all right, man. I've played with a lot of cardboard recently. I have a couple of friends of mine, Jim, Tim, and Lauren. They have been coming around every Tuesday. Almost every Tuesday, real life board game nights. Hard, isn't it? They've been coming almost every Tuesday for board game nights. So we've been actually getting through some of the stuff that we've picked up from your Kickstarters and whatevers and charity shop games, and we've been banging through quite a lot of board games in the last kind of couple of months, which has been really fun. So I've played lots of things, whereas in the last 6 months I've played about 2 things.
Yeah.
It's been nice just to look at the shelf and go, oh, I played that. Oh, that was good. I've played that as well. Oh, we're going to do some more of that. Oh, that was good too.
Because what we did is we put out the word out to the Twitter folk and we asked them to give us some questions. So we'll dip in and out.
Yeah, when they become appropriate, I think that would be
when they become viable and real. Let's start with the kind of the obvious one, because
do you mean Thurn and Taxis, the game I picked up about German postal systems?
Yes. I was like that. I was like, okay, because we've got all these Souls fans on the Twitter just now going, what was it you didn't like about Bloodborne, or what is it you like about Bloodborne, or stuff like that?
I want to talk about postal carriages. You can wait for the good content. If you're listening, you're not on the show. You don't decide what I talk about. I might want to talk about German postal systems for a little bit. You're gonna have to put up with that.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Thurn and Taxis.
Thurn and
let's
Taxis
talk about
won the Spiel des Jahres in a year, 2006 maybe. So it's a Spiel des Jahres winner, like it's a Game of the Year winner. Thurn and Taxis is a game about building a wonderful postal system in Germany in like the 19 or the 1800s, something like that. And it's a strange game. We played it first about a year ago and didn't quite get it, and we tried again with our new board game club, and we kind of made a bit more sense this time. It is a sort of card collecting game. You have a set of cards in like a bank with various cities written on them. So like Munich or Lodz or Schwarzstein, all German places. So you get to have fun saying the name whenever the card comes up, which is always good. And they're next to a map of like the middle of Germany, and there's various cities, all kind of, they match up to the cards basically. They're all different colours, match up to the cards, and you kind of have rows between them. And what you need to do is basically collect cards and play them in front of you in a route. So you have to make a route of cards from Munich to Lodz to Schwaden to Badenburg. And as you go, you pick up a card and you play a card, and you can optionally each turn either maybe pick up 2 cards or wipe the 6 off on the board and draw 6 new cards, or play 2 cards. The kicker is, as you build your route in front of you, you kind of lay it on the desk in front of you. As you build your route, the rows have to connect, and you have to put a card on either end of your route. You can't just jam it in the middle. So you've got to keep extending your route out bit by bit until you're brave enough to score it. You know, right, I'm scoring this one. And you place a house on various points on the route, and you get these lovely little wooden houses to place on the route, and they're worth points later. So you display cards in front of you, build a route, and the route has to line up with the board, so you have to have each hound connected. And when you're brave, you score the route, you clear the cards off, you start a new route. If, however, you at any point, you have to pick up a card, you have to play a card. If you can't play a card, if you can't make your route work, you wipe the whole thing and start again. So it's about being brave and seeing how long you can make it and how many points you can get. And there's various progression systems, like there's bonus systems to being the first one to get a house in each certain region, or the first one to get a house in every region on the map. And the game ends when someone collects the 7 long carriage track bonus coin, which is, you kind of collect in order, so you've got to build one that's 3 long, then 4 long, then 5 long, then 6, then 7. You've got to do them in order. So even if you make a 7 long track at the start, you'll only get the 4 carriage for it, and you can only go up by 1. So you've got to build up bit by bit by bit. Or if you run out of houses, everyone gets 20 houses, and if you run out of houses, then that kind of ends the game. And the game's scored by whoever had like various bonus points you pick up, and every house that you didn't play is a minus point. And it's kind of fun. It's simple, tactical. It's going to sound really dumb here. It's a little bit like Catan in that kind of, you've got cards, but it's quite simple.
Yeah.
It's easy to read, like the board's simple. Once you've worked out what you need to be doing, it makes a lot of sense. And it's about being brave and saying, right, well, I'm going to try and push this one a little bit longer, and I reckon I can get more points. But the longer you leave it, other people might be scoring points around you and getting bonus tiles for kind of putting down the first route that's 5 long, the first route that's 6 long, or the first person to get everything in the green zone, they get more bonus points than the second person to do it. There's a lot of depth to it, and I can see why it would win a Spiel des Jahres, because it initially looks a bit weird on the outside. It looks a little bit, dare I say, nerdy.
Dry?
Yeah, a bit dry. It's like, oh, cool, German postal systems are... I mean, that one's got lasers on it over there. Let's get the one about horses and carriages.
Wooden houses, yay.
Badensbergs and Moonspausens.
I took French at school. How am I going to pronounce everything? This is rubbish.
Oh, it's easy. Le Taxi.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But it's actually based on a real-life postal system struggle. Baron Taxis, I think his name was, and someone third, and they were trying to build postal systems better than each other. There's a whole history booklet in the book that I didn't read, but I skimmed it. We skimmed it, and it's kind of fun. Like I like it a lot, and we'll be playing it again soon, definitely, because it got very, very kind of snipey by the end. Like, oh, I wanted that card. Oh, don't you touch that card. I need lods. I need lods. Oh, you took lods. Oh, you're a bad person.
How did you find out about it? Because it's not like, it's not like, oh, Dice Forge. Oh, yeah, I've heard of Dice Forge. I've kind of genuinely kind of not.
I'm going to ask Laura, because she brought that home. Laura, what? Where did you get Thurn and Taxi from? Was that from the shop?
It was off a market stall.
It was off a market stall? How much was it?
Well, there you go.
£1.
To you, Gav, no doubt it'll be £1.
That's
a £1?
That's a quid, Gav.
I suppose you can break a 20. Are you having a laugh?
What do you think I am? A bank?
Don't look like a bank. Don't look like a ready teller.
But it's very different. It's very much in that sort of simple mechanics, but lots more depth than you think there's going to be.
Yeah.
And it's about just being as brave as you can. Like, I'm going to build a long train of postal delivery services. Yeah. Ooh, I would build one there, but I've got houses there, so there's no point. Ooh, what's over there in the red zone? Let's try building in the red zone. Oh, but there's no houses to connect to. Oh, I've ruined it. Oh, my postal system is in disarray. Everything's going wrong. I have failed. I have failed as a postman. I'm sorry. I don't get the black and white cat. You don't get the benefits. I don't get the fun shorts they wear to keep their legs dry when it's raining and they dry out faster. I don't get the fun shorts. I don't get the car. I don't get the little red slips that you get to give to people to say you're not in. Even though I rang the doorbell, you ain't in. But I was in.
Taking your free stamps off you.
And he left it in the recycling bin. Terrible postman. This has gone on a bit. This has rambled.
This is kind of... I might cut this bit. I'm really joking. But
yeah,
the pressure luck stuff. No, I like the pressure luck stuff. I mean, there's always. I kind of like the. I always like the idea of being kind of like in the situation where you're kind of like just one more. Do I go for it? Do I aim for it? Oh, I did it, and it's just all gone wrong. Yeah. It's just all kind of gone wrong.
Oh, and if you are German, the instructions and all the cards are printed in both English and German.
Such efficiency. Do you know what? I'm fascinated by the fact that you're able to pick up a game for £1 like that.
It's just go charity shopping, man. Just go charity shopping. Me and Laura both work in them, and stuff just appears. I found Shadowrun books in one of our shops a while ago. I was like, okay.
You did say
they're coming home with Papa.
I know, but they're so full of tables and complications and numbers and nonsense, and it's just
do you like rules? Do you like rules?
Would you like to just bury yourself in a bath of kind of Shadowrun books?
BattleTech, do you like rules? Ooh, well, I've got a table for that.
Just close my eyes and sink underneath.
Ooh, we should roll on the injury table for that. Ooh. That's 2d6 plus 1. Oh.
He stretched himself.
This has taken a dark turn.
This has taken a very, very dark turn. Models. Because last time we spoke, you were speaking about painting up some models, some old Judge Dredd stuff, I think you said, at that time.
Well, yeah, that's true. That was been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been freaking ages. So I've since finished those. Yeah. Not the best, I'll be honest. I made some very simple painting issues. Yeah, everyone does a bad job their first time. You're allowed to do a bad job on your first one. So my Judge Dredd's got finished, and I got better as I went. They were still not great, but they're very vivid, very colourful. I used one of those Games Workshop 15 quid, here's 13 tiny paints and a brush sets. You know the one, 13 tiny paints and a brush. That's what they write on the outside. You've got your Terminators to paint with 13 tiny paints and a brush.
The only problem with that is I'm no good at it. I'm just like, I'm getting to that, I have now got sausages for fingers. You know what I mean? And I shake like somebody trying to make a milkshake on one of those on one of those shaky things that you get at the fun fair. I'm just like, my hands are just all over the place. I look like a doctor trying to write a prescription. It is that bad.
They save all their precision for the actual surgery. Once they're not doing surgery, it all kind of goes...
It's like Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Whoa, I can't do anything with my hands.
Now look, just a sidebar here with Doctor Strange, right? That movie has a very bad message.
What's that?
Text and drive, become a wizard.
Bloody wizards.
I mean, he texts and drives, and then he magically gets sorcerer powers. Like, bad message. Very bad message, and one that I'm sure our listeners won't enjoy, because they aren't wizards.
Just don't like...
but if you want to be one, text and drive.
Just don't like the film, just because of that whole thing at all. Watched it and went, oh, I thought this was meant to be a good movie. They've put flipping people using magic in it.
I thought it was a medical drama, and there's a wizard in it.
I know. I thought it was meant to be about doctors.
Shocking.
It's awful.
But
awful.
I've painted some boys. So obviously I since... this is going to thread in quite nicely, actually.
That's what... Oh, do you see the method to my madness?
That's really good. That's a good segue. I like that. So I had the Dark Souls game turn up ages ago. And me and CJ actually did a show... Well, I say me and CJ. I did a show about it, and CJ listened and said, yeah. In a rare event, I did all the planning, and he did the turn up and talk. Which is very rare for us. Usually I'm the one that turns up and
sorry,
talks.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
I usually write 8 words of planning, around 8 words. In this I wrote 4 full pages.
How many words did we write for tonight? None.
I texted you a couple.
You did. You texted me a list of games that we're going to talk about, and then we went back, and then we spent the first half hour doing impressions.
Podcasts.
Fantastic.
So Dark Souls board game turned up. Through the post, and I saw the shipping thing. Apparently the next lot of stuff is due next year now. It's taking forever, but the Kickstarter campaign got so out of hand. There's so much there, and they're retooling a lot of stuff. Like they're making some of the miniatures look better, putting weapons on them. So to be fair, I can wait. I don't need them right now. I've got other things to do. We'll get there later. I've got other things to do right now. I can wait for them to turn up. So, but I thought, my Dark Souls games have turned up, and partly why I've persevered with my Judge Dredd ones is I wanted to get a little bit better at painting. Yeah. Because I wanted to paint my Dark Souls figures. I thought I've spent all this money on them, and hey, look, I've got toys of the thing that I like now. I've got an Ornstein and Smo made of plastic that I can just stare at all day now. So I thought, well, they're grey, that's fine. Grey is great, but do you know what's better? Other colours.
Because I saw the painting, and the painting that you've done, when you first turned them out, I went, that's how they should be. That's how those boys should be.
Well, I'll give you some tips. I'll give you some quick painting tips here. My tip for good painting is find someone who has good tutorials and do those. Because I went onto YouTube. I was trying to find some good tutorials about it. This is the promotion part of the show. I was... trying to find some good tutorials because I'm, club-handed idiot. I was just painting. I'm going to make this one red and this one blue, and then I'm going to give it a wash all over, and then it's done, finished, and it's rubbish. I thought I wanted to make a good fist of this, so I did a bit of googling, and I ended up on Hot Gates Gaming YouTube channels. There's a guy called James who runs the channel. Does a lot of painting videos. Does a lot of Guild Ball, I think it is.
Yes, that's Guild Ball by Mantic.
Yeah, and it does another bunch of other games as well. There's a lot of the Warhammer 40k sort of stuff, I think. Says the word Skaven a lot, so whichever game Skavens are in, he does that. I'm not good at games that aren't ones I have. I'm trying. I'm really trying. And he put some tutorials for painting these minis with a very much focused idea of this is going to be, have you ever painted anything before? Nah. Right, here's how we're going to do it step by step. I think he took the Knight piece as his first one, and just sat there and just put out the basics of doing layers, of doing shading, of doing dry brushing, of doing highlighting, colour blending, all sorts of little things, and edge highlight, detailing, that sort of thing. And I found them so useful. So incredibly useful. I've managed to take skills that I've learned there. So I kind of copied his videos for the first couple, and then I thought, right, I'm going to do the archers, and I'm going to do the knights. I'm going to do them myself. and they turned out brill. They turned out really good, and I was quite impressed with myself.
They are really impressive.
Yeah.
They're all over your Twitter. So if you want to take a look,
yeah, you might have to scroll down a bit because it's been a while. But
Media
sometime in June is when I was doing those, I think. So you might have to scroll down a while. But I had such a good time painting them, and it's very therapeutic, just sitting there very quietly with a brush. And once you get over the hand jitters and you find like a position that works for you, ooh, that came out a bit more sexual than intended. Once you find a way of holding your hands that doesn't give you the cramp, and you can just slowly and carefully just kind of like just drag your paint stick over the tiny men. It's quite satisfying. It's a pleasure like no other.
That's going extraordinarily badly.
Thanks. Thanks. I think I avoided the innuendo there. I think I did a good job.
But I heard you paint naked, so that's good.
I do. It's easier to wash up when you finish, to be honest.
Exactly. Just
Who wants to
jump in the
spend
shower.
money on like Persil?
Hey, look where I drew the face. Look where I drew the face. Oh no!
Well, I've now painted all of them in the box apart from 4. I'm missing 2 of the player characters, which I just haven't got around to doing. The dancer figure, which is going to be probably the hardest one.
Whoa!
And
You want to do a good job with her.
I want to do a good job, not a bad. So her, and I've got to do the gargoyle, the Belfry gargoyle from Dark Souls 1, because I want him to look good. And I've seen someone online use some like technical paint from Games Workshop that was like rusty, and it kind of makes it look that kind of weird greenish rusted oxidized look, and I really want to do that because it looks amazing. And I lost the person who did it, so I don't know what paint they used, and I'm just trying to be brave. And I'm not feeling very brave at the moment, so I'm going to give it a bit and then try again soon. But again, it's Christmas, there's going to be days off with nothing to do apart from put the telly on and binge watch some animes. So I'll have plenty of time on my hands to finish them.
Are you not tempted at work to keep them in a drawer, like a big chest of drawers, and then just like go like, and just then when things are quiet, you just do this. You go, all right, things are quiet.
Well, it's funny you say that because my new assistant manager at work, a gentleman called Dave, also paints miniatures. He plays a lot of, paints a lot of a game called Malifaux, which seems to be kind of goblins, and the stuff he's doing is very sort of Louisiana swamp. There's gremlins, and they've got like pigs that they throw at people. It's pretty good. The miniatures look quite fun. And he's lent me some paints already. He's already talked about bringing in a station and setting it up in the office for lunchtimes. I'm like, oh my goodness. So that is you joke, but that's a thing that's almost happened already.
No, I would think that would be a valuable use of company space. I mean, morale.
True. I mean, sure, there's making money, but hey, have you seen this orc that I painted?
Exactly.
Look, he's wearing blue.
Look at the highlights on it. We've painted him in the company colours, so you can't see nothing.
I'm on a promotional
Nothing at
campaign.
all.
It's a promotional campaign.
You could do that. Exactly. It's got the little it's got the little initials on his flag.
Yeah, you've got to look really close to see it. Is the problem? Like you can't put it on a poster; it's quite small. Like you've got to come in to see it. But that's the game. You have to come and see the figure. And by the time you've seen the figure, you're in the shop. Buy something.
I know.
It's a charity. Come on.
I think people will come in. It'd be like
if you paint it, they will come.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh,
that's a fascinating looking painted orc. You know what I mean? Oh, look, there's a fascinating wardrobe. It's like, what are you doing? We're down south. You sound like you're from New York. Yes, I am. I just came off the plane especially to look at your painted orcs and buy you some furniture from you.
With a bagel.
With a bagel. And a cup of coffee. And you'd be like,
you gotta do a cup of coffee.
You gotta do a cup of coffee. And it's like, sorry, you got the wrong chap. He does the other show.
Oh, very good.
There you go.
And they're trying to come in the shop and you're in the way, and they're like, hey, I'm walking here.
I was looking for that taxi game, that German post office game that I saw in the shop the other day. Is that gone?
That taxi game. Torn in Texas.
What do you think of the game? As in Dark Souls. Sweeping back round.
Okay, my position on it has shifted slightly, and this may lead into that question that you were telling me about. My position has changed a bit since playing it. When I first got it, I did like 2 or 3 games with pretty quick succession. I quite liked it. The problem is that we haven't played it since. It's kind of been the paint project, not the game project. And not that I didn't enjoy the game, but I don't know. I'm playing other stuff at the minute that's less reliant on luck. And a big part of the Dark Souls board game for me is luck. It's about, do you get the right items out of the chest, or do you buy the right items with your souls, or do you make the right choices when you level up to get the right stuff to use, later on. Then when you roll your attack or your defense, like, am I lucky enough to roll a large amount of swords? I'd like to roll lots of swords. Oh, I rolled one sword. That isn't enough swords. I've wasted my turn. And then the enemy rolls their dice, and they just have a lot of swords. And they put the swords in you, and you die, and then you start again, and then you do it again, and you die again, and then you get to the boss, and you die another time, and then, you're finished, and game over. I found it easier 1-player than 4-player. I actually found it a lot simpler to deal with, and because you're getting all the level up points yourself, like you can make your one guy 4 times as buff, but at the expense of being constantly targeted by everything.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for the way that the single-player game seems to play a lot better than the 4-player game in terms of the distribution of souls. It would almost be a case of, it doesn't. I played it a fair few times, but I played it a fair few times solo mode, because every time I've seen a multiplayer version, there's a lot of diplomacy going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you've got I hate, because I've got an idea how it works more than the other guys, and like, you don't want to be to use the internet to like quarterbacking. Like, you don't want to be telling everyone what to do.
No,
but you can see what you should be doing, and they're not doing it. You're like, we're dead. We died. Well done. But you don't want to do that with a game like that. You want to play together, and there's like a lot. I think the more players you have, the more strategy you need. Like, it doesn't become about powering through. It becomes about thinking your way through the problems and using the aggro thing as almost another tool in your arsenal. Like, he's going to look at me next turn, so I'm going to run away. So he wastes it running over to me, and then you waste your turn running over there, and we'll hit him in the bum every time. Like, there's more strategy when there's more people, but. I mean, I never felt that we were low on souls when we played 4-player. Like, I felt like we had enough. It was just none of us could wield massive gear. We could only wield reasonable gear.
I feel that you kind of need to forget certain things in it. See, I really enjoy what I play, because I get in there and I'm like, okay, the gear you kind of get lucky with, but then I say, see number of sparks. I set it up quite high. The beginning souls, I kind of set it up a little bit, round about the same, sometimes a bit higher, depending on how you want to play.
Okay.
You got to be in the mood for the game, though, because you got to be prepared for it kicking your ass, and you got to be prepared for it grinding. But I think it's one of these strange games that benefits from people taking the stuff that it provides and putting and house ruling it to high dawn. Basically.
That's interesting, because we haven't house ruled anything really. Like, when we play, we only kind of played with the basic rules and generally always got to the boss, if not killed it. Like, we've always been able to get there. Like, I've never found a power creep. Like, the power only becomes a problem at the end, and then for me it was tactics perhaps, but
yeah,
I don't know. I can see what you mean though. Like, give yourself a little bit of a boost, especially if you're playing with people that haven't played before. Like, you want to have fun. Like, you don't want to play a board game for 3 hours and lose.
Yeah,
like a half an hour board game where you lose at the end, fine. Like, that's all right, that's okay, but 3 hours of your life, and then to go, oh, we didn't do it.
I think the only thing that I've done when I've played the single-player game is to sort the deck. So what I've done is I've taken the weakest weapons, put them in a pile, taken the middle weapons, put them in a pile, taken the big weapons, put them in a pile, shuffled the light weapons, shuffled the medium weapons, shuffled the big boys.
Sorry, the medium?
The mediums.
The mediums?
The mediums, that's a mediums, that's the word. Where are you going? What size are you? I'm a medium. But then put them into a pile. So you're almost like stacking the deck. So you know at the very, very beginning you're going to be able to buy stuff that you can actually afford.
Interesting.
Because I don't think there's anything frustrating then when you go, okay, let's turn over the deck, let's see what there is. And then it's like, well, can you buy it? No, I can't. We just put it in a big pile until you can buy it.
Like how, in the Dark Souls video game, if you beat the Asylum Demon at the start, he drops the Demon's Great Hammer you can only use if you have 50 strength, which isn't going to happen for another 40 hours.
Yes.
Here's this. You can't use it. Yeah. I get
So
that.
what I do instead is I get the short sword, or you start off with your axe and then you move on further up. So for the time you've kind of got to the point where you've maybe run it 3-4 times, you're at the point where you have got enough souls as a single player. So when the cards that are coming up, you're actually, I can get that. I can actually afford that. I can get this shield. I can get this armor, and it makes for a little bit. It's more like a Soulsy experience because everybody talks about end-game equipment and end-game weaponry, so that's kind of why it is. Is it? Do you know what the worst Dark Souls enemy as a board game is? Dark Souls. I've said it.
Whoa.
If this had been,
Is this the Dark Souls of Dark Souls board game criticism?
It's
because that hurts my head.
I'm guessing what I'm saying, is that if this had been under a different IP,
let's call it Cleve Canyon.
Let's call it Lords of the Fallen, right? If they'd actually done a proper board game.
Okay, goodbye. I'm out the door. I've left. I'm already gone. I'm gone. I've actually found your house and deleted the whole website. It's gone.
And that was Patrick Smith.
I've become a wizard and flown away into the ether.
Don't. There's only one person that's ever done that, and I think he's asked us a question as well, which is quite interesting. No, but I reckon if it had been its own IP, if it didn't have the Dark Souls IP on it, and it had been taken for what it was, people would have maybe. I still reckon people would have welcomed it because it's a different way of doing a dungeon crawler.
It sold less.
There's a lot of pressure. Yeah, well, a lot of pressure coming through because of that game, you know.
But for me, I think as a board game, it's all right. Like I was initially quite like I say, we did a show about it. You can go back and listen. It's on our feed somewhere.
It's a good show.
Thanks.
It's a good show.
I talked a lot. It's a good game, and I enjoyed playing it. But now I'm thinking, do I want to play it again as it is? Not really. Like for me, the attraction now is, hey, you've got 50 more miniatures coming in of things from that game you like to paint and make look nice. I've got a Lautrec coming. He's my absolute favourite. More than Onion Knight, more than Havel the Rock, more than Solaire. Lautrec is my absolute favourite, and I'm getting a toy of him. Yeah.
Is he like? Is he not the very kind of very semi-high-pitched, very kind of creepy sounding
Golden Boy
when he talks?
Yeah, he's golden. Yeah. He's got the armour with the hug arms on it and the pointy fingers up to the top, and he's secretly the good guy of that whole game. But let's not do this because I have another life to get to when we finished here. I can't do this for 4 hours again. Lautrec is the good guy of Dark Souls. I've said it, come get me.
There you go. Let's jump into a question.
Whoa. It's sticky.
Wow.
Sticky in the question. I don't like it.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sticky in the question. Mr. No Context Jeremy. Wow.
What's the context?
I have no idea. He says, why is the DS board game so bad and terrible and not fun?
Well, I think, to be fair, we probably covered some of that. Like,
that's it.
I honestly think I can see people, we could goof answer for a while, but I'm gonna give you a proper answer. The random mechanics of it, like the fact that you are so reliant on random item appearings and random dice rolls dictating everything. The enemies have their own patterns of what they do, but you're relying so much on the randomness of the game, is that it's very hard to strategize with a proper plan compared to, say, the video game where you know what's going to happen and what you need to do. Like, I'm going to hold up my shield, I'm going to hit him when he's not hitting me. Whereas in this game, it's like, roll for your shield. Oh, you rolled a 0, he hit you. But I did a shield, though. That's never not worked.
It's not worked before.
It's always been fine. I hold my shield up and then the thing doesn't hurt me. Like, that's just how that works. But, no, I can completely understand why people wouldn't get on with it. I think it's, in the grand scheme of games, it's all right. I don't think it's an instant classic game. I don't think it's I don't think it's as good as its contemporary we're going to talk about in a bit.
That's controversial because I got some I've got some controversial things to say about that.
Okay.
Do you know its major fault in it? And this is coming from somebody who does play it. The Dark Souls games are about learning. You don't seem to learn in this game.
That's fair. You maybe get slightly better at your tactics, but it does come down to dice rolls, not strategy, mostly, doesn't it?
And it does turn into like a... You can even say, well, you can have a boss mode, so that if you want to, you can skip the rooms that you've previously done. But you never ever feel, unless you're really, really kind of ranking up your guys, and then you're just smashing through. Because that's the idea. You kind of go back, you get more stuff, and then you're kind of smashing through. But it's never a case that you're automatically guaranteed to wreck anybody that you face.
No.
And that's what I feel about Dark Souls.
Your basic dude can still ruin you, can't they? Whereas in Dark Souls, you learn it and you just take the game to pieces, don't you?
Yeah.
By your second or third run of the video game, you're like, I'm not even looking at the enemies. I don't even need to see them. I'm Neo from the Matrix. I know when they're coming. I can hear the sound. I've parried you. I've pushed you off a cliff. I'm moving on with my day. You're not a problem anymore. Whereas, the board game's a lot more like every enemy could just, out of nowhere, get that sick critical hit on you and game over.
Yeah. So that's where I would say I think people are going to have... But then on the other side, if you look on the community, people are writing rules and little rule books and, different ways to play the game and their own version of how they're doing stuff. So it's kind of, I guess...
Steamforged are doing it themselves, aren't they? They've put out some like quick play rules for like Dungeon Crawl, or like they put a boss battle mode out the other day, which seemed mad as a box of fish. And I know there are people writing like D&D RPG type rules just to use the minis for something. And I'd play a minis game like that with those. That could be great fun.
I think. Do you know what I'd be tempted. I'd be tempted to run it like Hero Quest or something like that, because it is very Hero Questy. It is kind of like even the movement stuff. It's very random in terms of the dice and stuff, but you could run the kind of the miniatures thing. That could potentially work. There's a lot of... I think the issue that you've got is when you've got things like Descent out there, and when you've got all these other Massive Darkness and all these other kind of dungeon crawlers out there, and then Dark Souls is so different and tried to do something different, and then it came up, it was kind of like done on both sides. You had the video game people going, this isn't a video game, and then you had the board game people going, this isn't what I expected from the board game.
So the video game people, Michael Caine.
Yeah.
This isn't the video game.
And he didn't use his dice in the right way. It was quite difficult.
Oh, using the old Michael Caine quivery voice.
Yeah, exactly.
The old Michael Caine broken voice.
He was down. He was down to one spark. It was awful. There was no way we were going to get through this boss. And then he came down and he attacked us with flaming lightning from outside. It was very annoying.
Can you just give me a Master Wayne and then we can move on?
I was trying to protect you, Master Wayne. I was trying to protect
there
you.
There it is. Oh, that's good. You're very good at voices. I'm very impressed, I've got to say. This has been a learning experience for me tonight. I didn't know how many voices you could do.
I could do them all. Next question, but we'll move on because the next question is to do, well, we've got Mr. Vader Van Ouden, and he's going to lead in to say, should I buy the Bloodborne game?
Yeah.
No.
Ooh. Controversy on the podcast. What will happen? Find out after the break.
Din 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 din. That'll do.
That's a good break, yeah.
Do you like that? Just having a drink. Right. Let's get down to the nitty gritty, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There are certain games that are made that you kind of feel are sometimes being a little bit shoehorned into the mechanics in order to make the game work.
Okay.
I feel that Bloodborne is one of these games that had an extremely strong IP that became a very, very mediocre type card game. It was okay, but it didn't set my world on fire. I found it quite quick, but I also found it a bit... It's not bad.
Is
but
it
as
not what you
weird as
expected?
It's exactly not what I expected. I think, see, when Dark Souls really tried to push the boat out, and you feel that they really tried with the game. I almost felt that there was like, what are we going to do with this fantastic artwork? What are we going to do with these fantastic cards? What can we do with these? What can we do with these lovely blood tokens? And then they got Eric Lang in, and Eric Lang went, "You heard of Bloodborne?" "Think so." And then they kind of made a game. Now, I've got nothing against Eric Lang. He's a fantastic designer. He's designed games like The Godfather, which is just amazing. He was involved in that. He's done a whole pile of other games that, Big Respect, The Others, everything like that. I've tried Bloodborne on several occasions and went, I'm not sure I'm having fun. Now, I don't know if it was the people you were playing with at the time, but I don't know if that has an effect, if you have to be kind of in the mood to be quite competitive. But I'm willing to hear your thoughts on it, Mr. Smith, sir.
Well, in the instance of true transparency, I should pose that you actually got me my copy of that game, so thank you, you sexual Tyrannosaurus. You pusher of hard board game drugs.
I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. No, seriously, cheers. It was lovely. I think. So we played it with our club, with our board game club. It doesn't. We don't actually. It's not. They just come around. We play games and eat dinner. It's not really a club. We just Tuesday nights is board game night. So we gave it a go jealous. And had a quick look through the rules, sort of figured it out. And the cards, I think the cards are beautiful. I love the cards.
Yes, they are.
The oversized ones for the bosses are just
stunning.
Just that
lovely.
chef fingers gif, like that. Spicy meatball. I like that you get a big cardboard Bloodborne guy as the first person marker. That's fun.
Yes, it is.
He's about 9 feet tall as well. It's huge. You sort of sit this entire man on the table and you have to kind of go around his legs to play the board game.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I found that our group that we play with were quite easygoing with rules and stuff, and it did get a bit competitive. Like mostly between me and Laura, if I remember rightly, because of the way you kind of gamble what cards you play to do damage. Only the people that hurt the thing get the blood echoes for it, and it's about Again, it's sort of about prediction and pushing your luck a little bit, and they give you that transform card to kind of put the nod to Bloodborne's transforming weapons, where you can play the transform card down, and then you wait and see what everyone else has played, and then choose what you play afterwards. I thought that was really clever. I enjoyed that mechanic, and I used that to great effect. Like that, every time I played that, it worked. Like, I'm actually going to play the cannon. None of you get any points. Points for me. Like malevolent, and then on the other side of the coin, be like, "Oh, you've played the gun. Oh, well, I've got the. Oh no, but I was gonna shoot him, and now you've shot him twice. I can't shoot him now. You are." And then you sit back and you're a bit sad because you got outplayed. But it's like production values of the game are beautiful. The cards are lovely. The little blood tokens are just gorgeous. These weird semi-translucent red discs are really nice. They look like blood vessels.
If blood things are real. If blood was real,
then
that's what it would. Then that's what it would look like. If blood was real, this is like some kind of
Edward from like Twilight came into my room.
Goodness. He breathed in the soft sun, his skin was glistening under the glaze of the moonlight, and he mopped the sweat from his brow before he drifted over towards me and planted a kiss on my 87-year-old cheek.
And then whispered just sensually in my ear, "Do you like ability tables?" I think I'm into it now. Ooh.
Do you want to roll for luck?
Ooh.
It's awful.
Do you want to see my community chest?
Oh, stop it. Go to jail.
Yeah, okay. That's good advice for anyone writing the Twilight board game fan fiction. Yeah, go to jail.
Go to jail.
There's no room for you in the outside world. You need to go away now.
The other thing, okay, if the Dark Souls IP tried to grab the IP with both hands, what were you doing with the Chalice Dungeons, dude? Come on. I mean, if they take, Jeremy Greer, wow, Jeremy Greer's favourite part of Bloodborne, and I was just like, what? I was kind of expecting. Do you know what I was kind of expecting?
Lore?
I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit more deeper, because the Bloodborne lore compared to the Dark Souls lore, this is very controversial, I find it's a lot more deeper and more layered than the conjecture that you get with Dark Souls.
Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne together, there's more parity there than with the other games. Definitely, like I think I agree with you. I think there's slightly more going on in Bloodborne, but it's two different stories. Like they're different, interesting stories in their own way, and there's different themes and stuff going on. I actually like that they went the Chalice Dungeon route because for me, I have a big problem in most forms of media with just oversaturation these days. Like everything has got to have like a comic tie-in. Hey, Bloodborne. A book tie-in.
Oh no! Don't be harsh on
board
that. Because
game. To be fair, this is a board game show. I shouldn't really complain. But comic tie-ins, web series, blog tie-ins, things you only get if you watch the Netflix show. Like I don't care. Like what I want for me, Bloodborne, like the lore stuff was just really well encapsulated. It was just here's a lovely diorama. Look at this diorama. Look at it from all the sides. There's many things to see, all in this diorama. By the way, we've made a board game, and there's now another smaller diorama just behind it. It's not quite as good because it's not connected to the main piece, but there's bits of it in there. And that's just a long metaphor, but I don't like it when people try and shoehorn plot into things that aren't the main IP. And that sounds very petty of me, and I know, but I can't think of many times when like a novelization or like an external book or comic or whatever has made that big of a difference or that much of important an impact as like the original work almost.
I don't know. I watched that Reinhardt short about Overwatch, and I must mean shed a bit of a tear over that. But that's just now and again. But
yeah, I don't know. Like I mean, like those animated shorts are like I suppose part of it with that sort of thing. But I'm talking about like full length. Here's a big story now. For me, it's prequels. It's the same thing as prequels. I can't stand a prequel. Like, oh, here's the story about the main characters, but before they did that big adventure, I don't care. I don't care about what Mike and Sully did at Monster University. I just care about that time they went through a door and found a child.
Yeah, I can see you, but yeah, I can kind of see
that
you.
is just me. Like, I like it when, especially when something like Souls or like Bloodborne has such a big impact or such a big focus on the lore. Like, here's this really well crafted lore. We've taken years to put this together. It's this perfect combination of all these lore bits. Also, there's a comic about one of the hunters running about a bit. It doesn't really add much. And I'm not trying to poo-poo it before it comes out because I mean we'll probably talk about this ourselves on our own show later. I just don't care enough anymore. I don't like add-ons. None of them ones I've read. The closest I've had to one that I've enjoyed maybe there were Ratchet and Clank comics and Samurai Jack comics, but they were like side stories. They were just like they were fun, but they're not important in the grand scheme of things. They're just sort of a fun, odd side story because those sort of properties allow you to have fun, odd side stories because it's about going on weird adventures. Whereas like Bloodborne or Dark Souls is here is a world, there is a thing happening, there is an important story happening. By the way, if you don't roll good dice, you won't find out the rest.
Yeah,
and I like the Chalice Dungeon idea. Like it makes more sense to me as a dungeon crawling, or I suppose it's a card game, but it's a dungeon crawling game. Let's crawl in some dungeons. We've got some.
Do you know what? Maybe because I was expecting more. Again, that was it. When I opened the box, I was expecting more. When there's a lot more that you get, a lot of depth that you can get in card games and
it's kind of competitive, isn't it? Like you work together and against each other, and I like those kind of games.
It was a twist in the norm because it was a case of all hunters are against each other. At the end of the day, most hunters end up kind of fighting against each other. I mean, this is something that happens through Bloodborne. The Chalice Dungeons, I guess, you line up with other people and you take the kind of the semi-competitive route. You're not really being competitive. You're always working with people to kind of help them out. So I think I just need to play an awful lot more. I think it's maybe something that I need to give a chance. I guess if they had said to me they were going to be doing a kind of a board game, miniatures board game, I don't know. Do you know what? I'd probably just be Captain Skeptical Joe at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Because I'd be like, after, again, is the Bloodborne IP a bit more precious to me than the Dark Souls one?
It's a hard choice, isn't it? It's a difficult one.
It's almost the case that they've put so much like Lemonade in the bourbon that is Dark Souls that all you seem to be able to taste nowadays is the lemonade.
That's good. I mean, it's not good, but it's a good metaphor.
Whereas the bourbon is still, the Bloodborne, the bourbon, it's deep red. It's still
like
just sitting
Mary.
there in your hand.
It's like a Bloody Mary.
It's just sitting there in your hand, and you can still go in and take a sip of it, and it's still the purity. There's nothing that's taking away from it just yet. It's not like, as I say, it's not like I don't want them to have Bloodborne 2. I don't want Bloodborne 2.
No, same. Same.
They made 13 episodes of Fawlty Towers. Yeah, they could show that series again and again and again, and it's absolutely fantastic. They knew when to finish stuff back then, and they left it, and it's perfect. I don't want Bloodborne 2.
No, I fully agree with you on every count there. Like I don't need it. Like, stop. Let it die. Hideo Kojima does not have to make Metal Gear anymore. Hey, surprise. Kojima's the first Metal Gear game after Kojima left Konami is a goddamn zombie survival game. What is that? I mean, what better example is there than that?
Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see what happens to the Resident Evil board game.
Looks interesting. It looks like it has the same sort of mechanics. It looks, again, more luck-based, but I like you build a mansion with doors and tension deck that looks quite fun.
Yeah.
And it has an add-on that's a giant crocodile. I mean,
what's not to like?
It's a giant crocodile. It's got one box of add-ons that's like 5 different versions of William Birkin in his different stage of transformation, from eyeball bicep all the way up to giant teeth slug.
That's just fantastic.
God, I really want it.
Going back to the question, should I buy the Bloodborne game?
If you've got good mates to play it with, because it's 3 to 5, we played before and that was quite a good setup. I think with good friends to play it with, yeah. I think it's something you need to play with people that you know and like and don't mind getting competitive with, and it's all fun-spirited. You won't hate each other by the end of it. Whereas sometimes I've played some games, you get to the end, you just resent everybody. Like, we played Risk once at uni, and it took us 4 hours, and we're just done. Just done. By then. Everyone had checked out. Like, the game was just progressing, and we weren't trying. It was just like, one of us lose.
Which is better at the Dark Souls and Bloodborne board game? This is what the Vader's follow-up question is.
Okay, well, for me, out of what's the better board game,
yeah,
I prefer Bloodborne. Out of what's the better collection of tiny plastic things to look at, it's Dark Souls. That's how my split lies, and I can't separate them any other ways. Dark Souls has got better bits, whereas Bloodborne is a better game, and it's cheaper. It's cheaper as well.
I must say, I kind of like. I could go and set up Dark Souls just now and play through it. If I by myself, and I know I've got a couple hours to waste, I'd go and play it by myself. I've got other games I could play, but you can't. It's almost like it's not designed as much for the single player. I can go in and crack on to the Dark Souls board game. I wouldn't have an issue with that at all. So opposite sides. Vader, buy both.
Oh, good.
His next question is, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
As much wood as a woodchuck could. Next question.
Absolutely fantastic. Richard Thorpe. Chris Thorpe. Do you use any house rules for Dark Souls, and if so, which ones make the most difference? Looking forward to the expansions mega boxes. We've kind of answered that. Card stacking the deck not in your favour, but necessarily to make it getting the appropriate weapons for the levels that you're at is always good. And that makes the most differences. You don't even really need to worry about changing the sparks or increasing the number of souls that you have.
Basically, what you've done is you've ensured you've not walked into Harrods with a $5.
Well, I've done that, but I've always had a Harrods bag at the back of it, and then you can shoplift until you dare drop.
Whoa!
That's what you need.
Don't talk about shop. Not this week. I've had shoplifters all week. And
have you? You're joking me.
No joke. One of them claimed to have an evil twin. A twin sister who is vile and nicks stuff. Oh, really? In the exact same way that you are, with one thing under your arm and another one on the counter to try and distract me. I'm not stupid, love.
Oh my goodness.
She said she had an evil twin. What world are we living in?
Well, we've got a big evil orange twin on the other side of the world.
Well,
so there you go. Let's see. Yeah, so that's, do you use any house rules? Yes. Are you looking forward to the expansions mega bosses?
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah. I am, for one reason, not to play, just to look and paint. look and paint. I ordered the. I've got obviously all the expansions coming. So you've got like a Smelter Demon and a Cerulon and Mimics coming and Crystal Lizards and all sorts of. I didn't get that.
Neither did I don't regret it.
I got the Gaping Dragon because I need that giant teeth boy.
Oh, he's so good.
I'm going to use so much dirty yellow paint on his teeth.
I might just buy a bag of sweets. I've actually not. Do you know that?
You've not got any bag? Oh, to be fair, I only got it because I saw it come up. It was the first one that came up, and I saw it. And you know when you know that you're getting something, and like nothing you can do can convince you otherwise. You see it, and you're like, I need that. Outside of anything else in that game, I need that giant teeth boy with his arms spread out wide going, like, I need that. I need to have it and look at it and to enjoy it.
Do you know what I mean? It must be brilliant to be Steamforged and say, go like that, go, Dave, what? Dave, we need some more money. Why? Because we run out of milk. I'll tell you what, I'll open up the pledge manager again.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like as time's gone on, I've looked at some of the other packs. Like I quite like the Asylum Demon, just a big fat boy with a hammer. Like I quite like having one of those. To be honest, I think it looks quite cool.
You'll get to the point that there'll be people that say, "Well, I spent £85, but that was 2016. So technically,
yeah, this is this year's board game purchases.
I'm spreading this out over a financial year, and if I play my cards right, I could potentially make this tax deductible."
And then the same guy in the office goes, Dave, we need some more money, but we don't want any this time. We just want to waste a few months. I'll put a Dark Souls 3 boss out then. Like, who wants Vort of the Boreal Valley as a toy? Who wants that? Who wants Vort over a Gaping Dragon?
He's like a little dog. I like him.
He's just a big boy that's on his knees.
He's kind of prances about.
You can have an Asylum Demon. You can have a giant fat butt demon with a
He's
big
like
hammer.
a puppy. He's like an icy puppy. He's running about just because he's a little bit violent with his axe. You can't hold it against him for that. Come on.
He may exist. He may have his own principles, but I don't want him in my house.
I don't mind him in my house. I would put a big fur jacket on him. Brian Wade says...
Buwady.
The Wade. He says Bloodborne by a mile, so I guess he's answering... he's answering Vader's question.
Bloodborne by a mile?
Bloodborne by a mile? I'm Ron Burgundy?
It's like how to sound Australian. You just go up at the end of every sentence.
Okay. Young Hemingway. Now this is an interesting question. And we'll jump back into other things as well, because we've got the sad part of the show to come up.
Yeah, God.
Which Monopoly piece would Miyazaki use and why?
Oh. Okay, which ones are there? There's hat.
There's a dog.
There's a ship.
There's a car. There's an
Boot.
iron. You'd use the iron.
There's a boot, isn't there?
You would use the iron.
I think he'd use the boot, and then he'd write some lore stuff on the bottom of it. And you only learn it when you pick it up and look at it and turn it over. Like, oh, there's something written on this. Oh, it says here that the Monopoly Man once didn't have much money and wore simple clothing. Is this the shoe Monopoly Man wore?
Oh dear, it's just no.
Or
it's
maybe
the iron.
he'd take the dog and then be sad when he lost, and like tip it on its side, and then we'd all sit there and weep a little bit.
No, because he go get the iron because you can put it in the first flame, and you can use it to sort yourself out because you're a creased mess.
Maybe he'd use the iron, and then when he'd finished, he'd put it in his pocket and take it home. We call this the Iron Keep.
Or then he'd sit on a throne, and then he'd be the Iron King.
Oh, good. Okay. All right.
And then he'd wait until he was 70, and then he'd be the old Iron King.
Oh my God. I'm done. I'm dead. You've killed me. Speaking to you from the other side.
Okay. Gary Butterfield. Gary Butterfield?
Hi, Gary.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Gary. Okay, here he comes. What's he coming in with?
Ooh, hit me.
The Bloodborne game isn't really that much better. Fine at first blush, but little staying power. I had hopes.
Well, I mean, that kind of feeds into... I think, Gary is probably in the same position as me, being a quote-unquote professional Dark Souls person for a while, just worn out with it.
Yeah.
We've just lived and breathed it for like 4 years. And, I quite like the card game Bloodborne. I quite enjoy its snipey backbitiness. But again, maybe it's who you play with. Like, I had a lot of fun with our group because we kind of just let the game breathe a bit and have fun with you played that card? Oh, screw you. Like, mechanics. That was fun.
You need people that aren't willing to kind of like take a vendetta against you. That they're willing to play for that round and then play for that round, because if they extend it into the next round, then it can become a bit of a, oh well, you did that, well I'm doing this to you. And it's like,
play to win, but not at the expense of fun.
I know. Oh, here we go.
I can see people being disappointed though, like with it, because I mean, how do you turn Bloodborne into a card game?
I know, but
good effort. It's a good attempt, and it's about the closest I think you're going to manage. So. And I like it.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. Let's finish off these questions because there are quite a few, and then we can go into the sad part of the show.
Sad times.
Which I'm kind of excited about hearing the bit that comes after the sad part of the show, because it sounds like it's going to be very, very exciting. The Lore Hunter.
Cinnaboo. Sean W.
He's lovely.
Lovely boy.
We love him.
Lovely boy. What's his question though?
He's questioned, what are your favourite variants for the Dark Souls board game? I don't think I'll ever play Standard again. Always the classic Dungeon Crawl variant and the Boss Rush variant for me. As I say, not touched into them myself.
Same.
Know they exist.
I like the variant where you don't play it and you paint the figures and then make them talk to each other.
He's also asked, how do you feel about the delay for the wave that was recently announced?
Absolutely fine. Don't mind. It's a bit of a pain that you got to wait a year for the bits to come. But they're making them better. Like, the minis they brought out for the armour set one, for instance, like the Havel and the Lautrec armours and the Black Iron sets, were just a guy standing there doing, like...
Yeah.
I don't think they were even doing any of the emotes. They were just stood still. Whereas, like, a lot of the feedback's like, nah, give them the weapons and make them stand cool. So they're doing that instead. Which is...
So that's what they're doing.
Yeah, much, much better. Like, I'm fine. If it makes the thing better... I say this with video games. If it makes the thing better, delay it as much as you need it. Put it out when it's done.
That's what I say about when people say, what's the best advice for Kickstarter? It's like, you don't put the Kickstarter out until you're ready to go. And you know when you're ready to go, and it's the same with delivering the end product. So, not first either. You'll get a nice surprise that's going to turn up in the middle of before the middle of next year.
I'm buying myself an August present.
Exactly. What's nice? What's bad about that?
Yeah.
What's bad about that? Mr. Butterfield comes back again. He actually says a couple of things, but it's kind of interesting that he rings bell. He says Dark Souls should have just been Hero Quest-esque. Give me 10 really meaty authored missions rather than this random chalice. This random chalice ass shit.
I mean, you keep saying Hero Quest, and I keep coming back to that video by, I can't remember who it's, the guy with the beard. The best part about the Dark Souls board game is the Belfry Gargoyle.
The best thing about the Dark Souls board game is the board. It's certainly not the storage solution.
Controversial, but true.
Listen, I kind of brought that with Dave Curl when I spoke to him when he was on the show. Right, okay, anybody asking any other questions? We don't think there's any other questions. Is there any other questions? There isn't any other questions.
Do you want me to check my Twitter just in case?
Yeah, you
I might
could.
have different responses. You never know. Let's do a real time Twitter check. 22 notifications. Jesus Christ. Yeah,
you're a popular boy.
Jesus, I think it's
this
the same ones
happens.
you've been reading. It's just all kind of pinged in at once. Jesus Christ. No. Okay. No, nothing new for me. No new questions here.
No new questions here either. But that's the funny thing is that I usually go, anybody got any questions? And it's just like...
It's because you got your boy.
It's because I got my Chaboy on there.
In.
Oh, is there even more? It would be Hero Souls. Oh, here we go. The conversation. It's just having a conversation
Twitter,
at the timeline without asking.
Talk. Twitter.
We'll just try to talk.
Stop typing. Stop tweeting.
No.
You listening now. Stop tweeting. Put it down. Thanks.
But now we come to the sad part of the show.
Oh.
Now, joining me today is Mr. Patrick Stardust.
Thank you. Hello.
And I know it's tough, and I know it might take a little bit of time, but you're here to talk about a tragic unboxing that happened with your recent copy of Gloomhaven. If you'd like to fill us in on the details,
Why-
Mr. Stardust?
Well, certainly, thank you for the podium. So I was actually led to Gloomhaven by my wife Laura. She noticed it on, I think, Polygon, did a piece about it, and it seemed interesting, and I'd not heard of it before then, and we did a bit of Googling, like, oh, top 10 on Board Game Geek since it came out. Ooh, that's promising. Dungeons and Dragons without a dungeon master and lots of fun pieces. Ooh. And every single thing we read about was like, ooh, that sounds like our kind of thing. Ooh. Second printing Kickstarter with minis, only £90. Ooh. Have I reached a point in my life where £90 is acceptable for a board game? I have. Ooh. It hurts. It hurts
And
so
then-
much. So I did the duty. I ordered the thing. I paid the extra $10 to get the solo scenario pack, which I've not been allowed to look at yet because it says don't look at it yet. So I've not. I love legacy games. They're great, aren't they? Don't look at this. Here's a game. Don't look at this bit, though. Wait. Earn it. Oh. So I did my order, and that was middle of the year, early in the year, maybe. Maybe let's say May. I don't think it was May, but we're going to say May. So I ordered it and I got it done, and it was like second printing, so it was definitely happening. And they kind of killed it. They did like another £2.5 million or something stupid. Like it really exploded out from there, which was cool. And to me, £90's quite reasonable considering what it was going for on eBay at the time. So I ordered it, and then I waited, and I was checking my Kickstarter updates every now and again. Like, oh, here's an update from the Dark Souls game, and oh, here's one from Subterra, and oh, here's one from the Gloomhaven. Oh, is it there yet? No, it's still a month away. Oh, okay. Kickstarter messages, dear God, like stop it. And last week or last week-ish, it appeared. Typically on my day off when I was at home, and I got a text to say, "Oh, Gloomhaven's here." It's like, oh, cool. I'll be in tomorrow. I'm not going to work now just to get it. So the next day, I got to work and I saw this just enormous.
Yeah, what did you think? Because I'm interested, because I've seen pictures of people going, here's Gloomhaven, and here's my baby. And the baby can fit inside the box.
I swear, this is the biggest board game box I have by quite a way. It is probably 6 to 8 inches high. It's a good, 12, 14 inches square. It weighs nearly 10 kilograms. 10 kilograms!
That's ridiculous.
That's a leg.
Or a meaty arm.
Or a moderate dog. Like, that's a lot of cardboard in that box. In that box, you get 1,700 playing cards. You get 18 big punch boards to pop your pieces out of. You get 18 miniatures, 17 boxes to put all your stuff in. You get pads of paper, you get stickers, you get a board, you get all sorts of other bits and chips and tokens and stuff. Like, there's so much in the damn box. Like, I had to, when I was I got it home and sort of showed Laura the bits and said, right, I'm gonna spend an evening. I'm gonna spend an evening one day this week unpacking this, putting all the pieces in bags and organising it, because every enemy has its own behaviour card, sort of its own stat card, and then a set of 8 behaviour cards, and then anywhere between 6 and 10 standees for each enemy type. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I thought I'm going to get it organised so when I want to play it, I can just find it all. Side note, I've actually bought a box file for the floor tiles. So the ones that make up the dungeon all have letters on. So you've got like A is a 7x7 one, and B is a corridor, and C is like a bendy corridor, and D is a small square room. Like, and they've all got like letters. So I bought a box file with the sort of components in, and put each letter in its own bit. So if I know that the book says get piece G5 and C2, I can just go with the G file and the C file, and I've got a dungeon, rather than dig through the box, because the storage solution in the box is similarly not brilliant. I mean, there's a little insert in the bottom where you can put most of the cards, and kind of works if you don't mind stacking everything on top of your cards, and I do mind.
Yeah,
I do mind, and I think it's okay, but I can see why they make like custom game box inserts for that game that are like £80.
Yeah, it's a whole nother industry.
Do I want to spend another £80 to store this board game? No, I'll use plastic bags, and I was using plastic bags instead. So I was popping all the damage tokens and putting them in, and just making sure I had enough. And this is where we start getting to the meat of the problem. So I was spending Sunday, a week and a half ago, I sat in the kitchen, the day to myself, I had some music on, I was listening to, I think I was listening to a podcast, in fact. I was listening to the JoJo's World podcast, a wonderful podcast about the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime. If any of that sounds familiar to you, give it a listen. They're lovely boys, and they're from Australia. So every show just kind of sounds fun. I think they're from New Zealand. I think I've just offended them. Sorry, Liam and Nick. But yeah, it's a good. So I was listening to that and popping out cardboard, which was fun. And I take immense. I don't know about you, but like if I get a big punch board and it's got lots of little tokens in it, like I get such immense pleasure out just popping tokens out. Like
it's bubble wrap,
but with cardboard.
It's bubble wrap.
Do you like popping out tokens? Oh. So I sat there and I was popping out.
Do you like using your fingers?
Ooh, put your finger through this. Ooh. So I've got these 18 punch boards piled up next to me, and I'm taking them one at a time and I'm popping out the pieces. So here's a piece of floor tile. There's some damage tokens. There's some Enochs, which are like orcish guys with horns. Here's some Vermlings, which are like little rat boys, like kind of popping them out, and I was kind of making little piles. So here's all of those. Here's all of those. There's 6 of them. There's 10 of them. And I'm going quite well. I had the manual out in front of me, so I could see, how many of each one I needed. And sort of saying, right, I need another 5 doors. Where are the doors? Oh, they're on that pile. I'll get them in a minute. So I was popping things out, and I lean over to put something to one side, and I lean back, and the top part of my hand clips the cup of my tea, and my teacup tips over and spills over the manual and over several of the pieces of my £90 board game that I had not yet played. I said a very loud swear. A very loud, very bad swear.
I'll bet you did.
Oh, I'm not even going to say it because the podcast will get taken down from iTunes for adult content.
Really?
It was a bad couple of words that I said. I was furious. I then immediately picked, and it was not even a half, like it was most of a cup of tea. Like it wasn't even like the dribbles. It was quite a bit of tea. It was a flood. Well, so I picked the teacup up. I fling the teacup out the way. I put it back on the side. I grabbed the manual up. The pages have already stuck together. A second in, and the pages are already stuck together. I retrieve that out. I grab a tea towel. I start picking the cardboard up and trying to stem the flow of water. Luckily, we had a tablecloth. So the tablecloth soaked up a fair bit of it, which does save quite a lot of it. But the bottom of each pile, of maybe about 7 or 8 piles of them, the bottom one of each one got absolutely sodden, with them getting a bit worse as they go up. I would say, in terms of how many pieces got wet, I had about 7 or 8 really, really wet ones. I had about 20 that were a bit wet, and I had maybe another 20 that were just a little bit iffy.
Well, Patrick, I hate to tell you, but actually we do have the cup of tea on the show tonight that you spilled. In typical Jeremy
I'm doing that Jeremy Kyle thing where I just sort of put my head in my hand and I look away. I look like I'm really upset. I'm like,
he asked him. We're just going to ask. It's just even asking him along just to give it side of the story. Just give it side of the story. But
wow, you mug, you ruined my game, you mug.
I was just sitting there, wasn't I?
So
I was just.
I'm not talking to the cup. I refuse. I can't. It's still too painful.
I bet you talked to the cup at the time, though.
I did call the cup some things. So here's the thing. It was absolutely and 100% my own fault. Like, it was absolutely me. I clipped, and it was a tall cup of tea. If it had been a regular-sized cup, if I hadn't been so goddamn tea-thirsty, it wouldn't have been a problem. But I just... what I did is I know, tea-thirsty. Just let that sink in for a second.
This is brilliant.
So
what happened to Jeb? He was just too goddamn tea-thirsty.
Man. He needed that leaf. I needed that bergamot.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So I grabbed a tea towel and I grabbed the pieces up and I started frantically kind of squeezing the water out of them and the tea out of them and drying them up. And they were like 1 or 2 of them. You squeeze them and like it was welling up on the edges. Like, oh no, none of the paper on the outside. So none of the pictures are like the rock trolls. There was a rock troll that was really bad. He was the worst one. And like the pictures were still fine. They're a bit darker, but they were okay.
Yeah.
So what I did is I found on Laura's idea, I got some kitchen roll. I laid the kitchen roll. I put a layer of pieces on the kitchen roll. put some more kitchen on top, then found a couple of like thick books, like D&D books that I've got, my copy of Time Watch, which turned up a while ago, so I put that on top, which is nice and heavy. Then I put some more tea towel, then some more wet pieces, then another big heavy book, and then I found the heaviest game I have, which is actually the Cards Against Humanity like big box, which we've got basically full. So it's like a good 2.5-3 feet of cards. So I kind of just put that on top to squeeze it down. And it did help. Like, they have all dried flat. They don't necessarily go in the plastic stands without ripping on the edges. But they are currently workable for now. The manual, I had to hairdry. I had to...
Oh, has it gone crinkly?
That would be like... Saying it has gone crinkly is like saying Antarctica's a bit snowy.
Is it crimped, sir? Is it crimped? Sir.
It is like a 90s girl's hair. It is crimped.
Wow.
Wow. I had to sit there with the hairdryer, opening each page, drying it off quickly, so not like doing too much in case I dried them shut. Peeling each bit off. Now, everything is readable. The front cover has disintegrated from the staples, and so is the inside page. It's all still there, and it's all still readable. It's a pain to flip through, because sometimes the middle page falls out, and you have to pick it up off the floor. So you're trying to find a particular rule, and the rule falls away. You're like, okay. But I've managed to salvage it. It's all workable. Like, I've got it in, and I've kept the pieces that got wet separate. So what I've done since is I sent an email over to Cephalofair, who made the game. And
yeah.
I said, I was honest. I was like, guys, I'm an idiot. I have tipped tea over my manual and boards 1 to 6, because I knew which one I was up to. I was doing it in order. Could I please have a new manual and boards 1 to 6? I will pay you whatever I need to. And they were very reasonable about it. They said, yeah, no problem. $10, including shipping from America, is quite good.
Yeah.
Happy to pay it. You know, top customer service, straight away, in and out. Give that on your Amazon review. Just such nice, good, right, friendly. I said, look, I know you guys are busy. Like, it's all shipping out right now. You don't need some dumbass to ruin his game before he's even played it. But have you got any spares? And they've been ordered. I don't know how long they'll take to get here. They're not here yet. But the response from the guys at Cephalofair was amazing. Like, they're really, really cool guys. Nothing but thumbs up. So if you do happen to ruin your own copy of Gloomhaven, they'll hook you up. But don't ruin your own copy of Gloomhaven, because you'll be annoyed for a week. I looked at it and I got sad. I keep looking at it and going, you idiot.
It's one of these things, isn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like, it was slow motion as well. Like, I saw the tea going over. I was like, no. If only there was some way out of stopping time and kind of running in and taking all the pieces out of the way. But no, unfortunately, I'm not a time wizard. Because we're not wizards here. Callback.
That's right. That's pretty good callback. Have you played it yet?
I've played it. Oh, it's really good. Oh,
Does it live up to the hype?
Oh, it really, actually, properly does. It's legitimately brilliant.
How's it brilliant?
Okay, it's brilliant. So, I'll give you a very rough Gloomhaven rundown. Okay, Gloomhaven has a scenario book. So it has a plot and a story, and you play along with the plot, and you kind of decide your own choices as you go. So it's very much almost choose your own adventure. You have a giant map, and on that map you put stickers on as you uncover locations. So you build the map as you play it. So when you beat a thing, it's like, you could follow the evil lady and go do this, or instead you come back with me to town and we'll deal with the real problem. So here's location 7 and location 9, and they go on the map at points A2 and C7, and then like, right, where do we fancy going now? The character system is really fun. Each character's got its own mini. I've picked the Cragheart, who is a rock man who did not learn how to master one of the elements, so had his glassy chest piece smashed in, as is the way. But they have their own abilities. He's basically really good at throwing rocks at guys. All his powers are about, I'm going to throw a rock at you now. Laura's using the Spellweaver, which is, wow, it's a wizard, really. I mean, it's
just can't even.
It is a wizard. But there are some dunk powers, like really good powers, that do lots of damage very well. So each mission is made up. You kind of put a board together using sort of boards from the box. There's a little plot that goes along, like you have encountered the so-and-so encampment, and this happens. And then you put markers on, like if you go through this door, then this will happen. If you open that door, then that happens. Or the scenario only wins when you've beaten... one we did last time was kill enemies equal to twice the amount of characters playing. So we had to kill 10 because there were... 5 times the amount of characters playing. So we were 2 of us, so we had to kill 10.
Whoa.
That was fun. And yeah, it's... So combat is done with cards. You are given a hand of cards. My Crag Heart can hold 11. Laura can hold 8. On your turn, you have to play 2 of them. And you use the top action on one and the bottom action on the other one. Top ones tend to be attacks. Bottom ones tend to be moves. But there are other things that are on them as well to kind of give you more tactical ideas. You also have an initiative number on the middle of each card, and you choose which one you're going to go on. But you can't talk specifically to your friends. So you can't say, on initiative 17, I'm going to move 4 and use my avalanche to attack 3. You can say, I'm going to try and go early, run over there and hit him with a rock. Basically, that's in place to stop you metagaming, because there are a lot of numbers, and to preserve the randomness of it and kind of the thrill of like a real kind of scrappy fight, your cards you think of doing might be irrelevant by the time your turn comes around, and you might be able to use the other action on the card. So instead of using the top action on your first card, the bottom action on your second one, flip it around, use the top action on the second one instead, in any order you want. And when you play those 2 cards, they then get discarded, or sometimes lost. If you have a particularly powerful move, you have to lose the card, and that's gone. And you have to play 2 cards every turn, and you have to rest to get them back. And whenever you rest, you then lose another card. So there's like a built-in limit on how many turns you get.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so my hand of my Crag Heart can go quite a while, whereas Laura's character only has 8 cards, so she has to rest after the 4 turns, and then again after another 3, and again after another 3. Like, there's a built-in time limit, and if you're burning like the good power on your card, you're losing cards even faster. And you don't have to use them. You can substitute any top attack for like a 2 attack, and any bottom one for a move 2.
Yeah,
so you can substitute out for a basic attack if you don't want to do the dunk thing. But then, when things line up in your favour, the good thing is always worth doing. If you've got 6 enemies stood near each other, then yeah, you bet your ass I'm going to do the Dirt Tornado and confuse them all. Like, Dirt Tornado. It does a tornado that hurts them all a little bit and muddles them. Combat's dealt as well. So there's a modifier deck as well that you play. So, where in like D&D you'd roll a dice to see if you hit a thing, or roll for damage. Similar. But you've got a modifier deck. You have one, every character has one, and the enemies have one between them. Yeah. So when you play attack, I'm going to attack 3 on the guy in front of me. You may have bonuses yourself, like you may have eaten a power potion, or you may have a bonus on you for whatever reason to add on to that as well. Then you turn over the top card of your modifier deck, which can be either like a 0, or a -1, or a +1, or a +2, which will affect how much damage you do. So if you're like, I'm going to do my 2 damage attack, and then you flip over a -2 card, you did a 0 attack. Well done. You screwed it up. And various things will give you like advantage and disadvantage, where you draw 2 and take the best or take the worst. There's a 0 card in there, which means your attack did no damage, like a null card, which means no damage whatsoever. And there's also a ×2 card. So if you get that when you do your big attack, it becomes a double big attack. And they get taken out when they come round. The enemies have the same thing as well. So a bog standard skeleton who's going to attack you for 2 damage might very well attack you for 4 damage, giving you some problems. And it's like tactical and deep, and encourage you to think tactically and still push your luck a little bit, but kind of play to the scenario, and you can see what's happening and kind of try and react to things and play off each other's ideas. And the fact they don't let you talk specifically means it does kind of keep it more vague. You're not metagaming, because it's a game you could easily metagame. Like, and it does recommend, if you are one person playing 2 characters, you have to up the difficulty by 1. So if you're playing a level 1 scenario, you have to up its difficulty to level 2. To kind of cope with the fact that you know what you're going to do, which is a good call. I really enjoy that idea.
You sound surprised.
It's amazing.
You actually genuinely sound surprised. You're kind of remembering. It sounds like, I'm just remembering everything that I've done with it, and this is absolutely fantastic. The card stuff is fascinating, because I would have thought the easiest thing to do would be, let's have some flashy dice.
Yeah, but it's a deck, but here's why they've gone with the deck. I can tell you why they've done the deck. As you do challenges. So as you play, your character you make, we're going to get to why the deck's important. We're going to go a roundabout route, but we are going to get there. Don't worry, we're getting there. So your character has a hand of the cards they can play, equal to the level they're on. They can gain more cards as they level up as well. You gain gold and experience, which you can use to level up, buy more potions, to level up your guy to different levels as well. And you also have like a secret goal. So at the start of when you make a character, you draw 2 of the goal cards each. Look at it, pick one secretly. We've kind of shown each other ours because it says you don't have to keep them secret, but you can do it if you want. We decided to show each other ours just for the first time. So we draw 2 cards, pick one you like, put the other one away, and that's your battle goal. So that's your guy's main quest for being Gloomhaven. You're not out to save the world. You're out to do something for yourself and then retire. So when you've done that goal, your character retires from the game. They go back in the box, and you pick a new person. Yeah. So the one I'm using the Crag Heart, and I've managed to pick one called Trophy Hunt, where you have to kill 20 different kinds of thing. When I've killed 20 different kinds of thing, there's some flavour text with it as well, but I've killed 20 different kinds of thing. My Crag Heart will retire and go back in the box, and all his cards will go away. And I will then get to pick a new character to build. And because I did that particular quest, a new box will open. So at the start of the game, you can only pick from 6 characters, and there are like 17 in the box. So as you complete challenges, as you complete goals, different characters unlock. So this one, when I beat this, I believe I unlock a sort of Beastmaster type character who has a pet dog. Oh. It's brilliant. And they retire. And then there's a separate book you open only after characters have retired, and you can record their names in it, I think. And then sometimes you can encounter them later in the game as like random events. It's so clever. There's so much going on. But that's not why you have a deck of modifier cards. We're still getting there. Okay. So as you play, every time you play a scenario, so the first one, like the Black Barrow, for instance, you're also going to draw a scenario goal. These are smaller goals. Again, you draw 2, pick one you like, and put the rest back. This will be something like, it'll be a smaller goal. For example, finish the scenario and have picked up 5 money. Or only do long rests during the scenario. Or open a door at some point. Or at the end of the game, have 5 cards left in your hand. Something like that. If you do that, you get a number of ticks based on what the card is. Most of them have 1 tick, some of them have 2. So if you complete that goal, but at the end of the scenario, you get a tick, and you write that in your little character sheet. When you get 3 ticks, you get a perk. And what a perk does is it lets you adjust your modifier deck. So using that deck of +1s and -1s, so inside every box, every kind of character box in the thing, you get a pile of cards that have like other abilities. Now, very important for anyone playing Gloomhaven, that is not your modifier deck to start with. Don't use that one because it's full of cool dunk stuff. You get a basic one and you upgrade it. Don't use the one in the box. Well done, everyone. The more you know. I watched a couple of YouTube tutorials where they've used the one that's like, +2, +5, +8. Like, no, put that away. No. Yeah. You've done it wrong. So what it will say, you'll have perks that will be like remove all your 0 cards, or remove 4 +0 cards, or replace a -1 with a +1, or add 2 push cards where when you do damage it pushes someone away from you, or add 2 nature cards which when you do damage it'll add the nature energy to the board, so you can then consume that on a later turn to make a power better. There's just so many cool things you can do, and so many directions you can take your character. You can build it any way you want. Like, I could build my Crag Heart, I could build in melee, I could build in ranged. I'm currently going ranged because I'm having a lot of fun throwing rocks at people. It's been quite effective, it's quite fun. Laura's character is very much about blasting things as hard as she can in the face. And then trying not to die because she's made of squish and tracing paper. Yeah, and the cool thing is as well, if you beat the scenario, like whatever happens, if you win or lose the scenario, you keep your money, you keep the experience points you gain through the scenario, so you'll always keep leveling up, like you won't bottom out. If you beat the scenario, you get bonuses, you progress the story, you unlock new areas, you can go back to town and spend your money and upgrade yourself, and you can do events on the way to town where you'll go, you found some mysterious berries, do you want to eat them? Yes or no? And you think, right, well, we'll not eat those ones up, and you flip the card over and it says, right, you didn't eat the berries, well done. This card now goes back in the box forever, you don't need it. Whoa. Like, and the road event and the city event deck that you kind of play when you do road or city events, you shuffle them at the start of the game, and then you don't shuffle them again until the game tells you to. You shuffle it once, and it's shuffled. That's it. Done. And you can add cards. So when your character retires, there might be a road event ad, and I've got a feeling it's going to happen. You can add road events in where you might meet that character again on the road later.
But I can't even imagine how you begin to design Something like this.
I have no idea how you do this. And this is his second game.
Shall we ask him?
Ask him.
Yeah, ask him next Wednesday when he's on the show.
Did he lock himself in a room with 1,700 playing cards and think, right, I've got a biro, let's work out a game.
He's like that, right, I've got a biro and I've got coffee, I've got this.
Yeah. Oh, don't get the coffee near that. Oh.
Oh, you know what he'd do? He'd at least have it in a proper cup.
A sippy cup.
A sippy cup.
Do you know what as well? Do you know what sucks? A couple of weeks ago, I went out for a cup of tea with my friend Ian and Laura to a local tea place I go to called All About Tea.
Oh, yeah.
They make their own local tea for Portsmouth. It's incredible. Such a good place. And they've got various different flavours of tea. So you can buy like Smoky Russian Caravan as a personal favourite. Or you can buy Peppermint or Autumn Mist, which is a very tasty one.
Smoky Russian Caravan.
Not kidding. It's beautiful. It's such a nice tea. It's the best tea. It's actually my favourite tea. It's like got a really nice smoky aftertaste and it's wonderful. It's amazing. I'll send you some in the post if you like. It's incredible. I will get you some and send you some.
It's
but anyway,
fantastic.
and they had a travel mug, but it was made that one you couldn't knock over. And we sat there on this table, and me and my friend Ian are punching this cup, and it won't fall over. But then you just grab it and you lift it, and it just comes straight up. It's got a weird suction thing. If I'd have had that, if I'd have bought the £25 suction cup, my board game would have been fine.
You can't live on regret, because regret, it's the path to suffering. You can't. You have to move
taste.
On.
I don't like the taste of it.
You have to accept. You have to accept it.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I've got my new pieces coming. I've kept the ones that got wetted to one side, so I'm just going to do a 1-for-1. The ones that are still good, I'm going to keep as spares. Like I can always use spare damage tokens and stuff. I can always use spare archers if I need them in the future. But it's nice to know that they're coming. But yeah, the actual game, so impressive. Like we've managed to play. We've played 5 times or 5 scenarios. We've won. We kind of did lose, win, and then win. So, because we lose, we just try the scenario again. We're kind of still getting our way. We were learning how to do it at the start. We were kind of burning through our cards a bit too quick. We didn't quite get a handle on the mechanics early. We're getting it now. We're a lot more effective as well. Like, we can actually coordinate ourselves a bit. And now I've unlocked the... now we're both level 2. My Cragheart can now do something called Explosive Punch, where he breaks an obstacle in the room and everything around it takes at least 4 damage. Which is like, I'm going to make this statue break and it's going to land on all of you. Ha!
It sounds like...
It's good flavour. It's good flavour text on them as well. Like, you can just imply like, oh, he's going to throw a tornado of dirt at that man. Huh. It's so good. Like, again, like, how do you design a game like that? Where do you start? Where do you start with a board? Do you start with some cards? Do you start with just ideas on how the movement's going to work? How did you do it? Because it's incredible. And this scenario book that's got things you're not allowed to look at and sealed up envelopes I can't look at yet with this whole legacy stuff and a board that will change and a prosperity level of the town that increases as you play, and you have a reputation marker as well where you can become famous or infamous during the game. Like
Fable.
It's ridiculous. There's so many systems, but they all work.
Have you seen Forge War?
What's that one? I've heard of it.
It's his first one.
Sorry, I sounded a bit common there. I've heard of it. What's Forge War about?
Shine your shoes, Governor.
What's Forge War? I've heard the name, yeah, but I'm not sure of the face.
It's like full... it's the full... Why is my default voice like... I'm not actually from Scotland. I'm actually from same place that Michael's from. It's like 4 or 5 mini games all within a bigger game. So the first part of Forge War is mining, and then the next part of Forge War is getting your weapons, and then it's getting your kind of group together, and then it's going off and setting off and doing a quest. So Forge War kind of all links together.
Wait, so like, do you do that? It's like 5 separate stages.
So,
like, do you
something
do the
like
mining
that,
bit?
yeah. It's got.
Oh, I'm looking at a picture. Oh, that board's amazing. What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird and cool.
Yeah. That's what.
Oh, if we can just pause the podcast for, I'm just going to look at these miniatures. Look at these. That's nice. That's some nice cardboard. Oh, I bet there's some good punch boards on that.
Oh, there's amazing. Ooh. Tons of it, and there's tons and tons of tokens on it. The boxes. That was his first Kickstarter. And then he did Gloomhaven. It's like, what? This is what Isaac did first. Gloomhaven's what Isaac did next. It's all kind of really, really interesting.
Sometimes I get upset when people get really, like, when just people are really competent and, like, people are good at stuff. Like, it sickens me. Why are you allowed to be so good at stuff Stop being so brilliant. You're making us all look bad.
You can. I don't know. We're going to ask him next week. We'll see what he says.
I've designed one game in my life. It wasn't a board game. We were at the beach and we were playing frisbee, and we couldn't be bothered with the frisbee, so we picked up a rock and we called it Throw the Rock. We were 25.
All right. If you made a board game, what would you make?
Well,
what kind of game?
I actually have 2 board game ideas that I know we'd laugh and joke. I've actually been working on 2 board game ideas. In just kind of like in the downtime when you're like it's 12:30 and you're still awake at night. You're like, I wonder if I could use that for that. I would like to make my first idea was to make a dungeon crawling game, but the method used to get through it is blackjack.
Oh my goodness!
And I was going to call it like Blackjack Bandit or Double Down Dungeon, something like that. And I had an idea that you'd kind of have like a line of enemies, so you'd have like small ones, medium ones, and then an ace of each area. So you kind of draw like an ace, like kind of like the Bloodborne game in that respect, like small enemies and a boss at the end. And then you have like a hand of cards, and then as you kind of win trophies or items from like beating things, like it will be like, oh, it's a big sword, so you can play that as a 3 if you wish to. So rather than drawing a card randomly, you'd play like a 3 card on top of it. You say, well, I've got 20 now, ha 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 ha. And I kind of wanted to kind of infuse the enemies with like a gambling flavour. So there'd be like a card shark, which would just be like a shark. Or like a one-armed bandit, which would just be a bandit with one arm. Or like a big blind and a small blind, just 2 blind people. But one with a big hammer, one with a small. And I thought like there could be aces, so you'd have like the ace of clubs would be a giant ogre with a big club, and then the ace... maybe the ace of diamonds would be like a dragon with a hoard of wealth. I sat there with like a pen and just worked this out ages ago, and I can't quite make it work in my head, but
guess so.
No one steal this. If I see this on Kickstarter next week, I'm going to be really upset.
You've seen a Kickstarter a couple of years.
Ah, dang it. So yeah, that was my first idea. My second one was wrestling board game.
Yeah.
Because there just aren't many, and the ones I've seen don't look like what I want. I want a ring that I can stand the miniatures on the ring posts and do a flip.
And see if it lands.
Because I love wrestling. Yeah. I'm a big wrestling person. I wear it on my sleeve. I know it's rubbish, and I know it's all scripted, but I do enjoy watching a man fly.
There's nothing better.
And again, I was thinking, would you use card movement, or would you use action point based movement, like something like Forbidden Island, where you've got 3 action points? Well, I'm going to move 1 space and do a suplex.
Deckhand, deck building. You got a minute. Oh! Here we go. Right, okay. Deck building.
Right.
And you have a currency in the game, which is your crowd reaction. Okay.
So like cheers or boos?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you want boos. As a heel, you want them to boo. That's the
exactly.
whole point.
So you get, different crowd reactions. So you've got the...
Blue coins or red coins?
Well, I'm thinking cards are double reputation. They're marked with either a certain move will get you more boos, or a certain move will get you more cheers.
Oh, like a low blow will get you a big boo, whereas a flip off the top rope will get you a big cheer.
Yeah, so a low blow will make you give you less points as a good guy, but will give you more points as a heel. Whereas a jump off the top rope will give you more points as a good guy, and less points as a heel.
Interesting.
And then what you do is, and this is the interesting thing is that there's bigger moves as your reputation kind of gains, and you get more cards. You can use the cards to attach to bigger cards, which are specialist moves that need more reputation in order to pull off.
Well, that's how the matches work. You start small and you build up to the big stuff at the end.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'd like to make it. It'd be more like an actual match where it starts off small and it builds up. Like you don't want to just go in and do a people's elbow from word 1. Like that's not interesting.
No.
I like the idea of having a slight in terms of damage. You'd have maybe a track in front of you that was 1 to 12.
Yeah.
And then that was how much health you got. So as you take damage, it goes down. And then that's the number you need to kind of roll less than to get out of a move.
Yeah.
So someone pins you, you've got 3 attempts. So 1, 2, 3, 3 attempts to roll less than the number to get out of the pin. And the more damaged you are, the more chance the pin's got of working.
Yeah, because the number of dice, the number that you need to get on the dice, is obviously becomes less and less.
Exactly. That was kind of the core idea. I thought that could actually work, and then like submission moves would last longer if you couldn't. It was harder for you to get out of them, and you'd be more likely to get hit by a flying chair if you're a bit weak and couldn't move out the way fast enough. And again, these are just like scraps of ideas I've been throwing together when I'm kind of sitting on the toilet and my phone battery's run out.
But you need to give it a name though. You can't make it a thing unless you're giving it a name.
I don't see. This is the thing. I wouldn't want to make it like too referencey, because nothing like annoys me more than when you see like someone's doing a wrestling project and this is the Mountain and he's doing the Crowd's Elbow. Like, stop it. Come up with your own guy.
But
don't just do Triple J. No, don't do Bork Laser. Like, they're all wrestlers. Don't do that.
What about the title of the game though? Come on.
Wrestle, grapple.
Oh, for goodness sake,
Grapple Guys.
Super Stardust Slammers.
Ooh, that's good. I kind of want Stardust to be a character in there, though.
Well, that's it. But Stardust can be the guy that is the main guy. He's at the top. He's the guy you got to look out for. He's the guy that you eventually fight because you go through. It goes through 4 rounds. And each round is wrestling against the small guy, the medium guy,
the mid-carders,
and then the big title match at the end. And what you're doing is, as you're playing the rounds, you're building up your hand. So by the time you get to the mid-carders, you've already earned the right to have bigger moves. So
against bigger guys. Ah, okay. So you basically fight the equivalent of John Cena at the end.
Yeah.
And he has a special ability where he turns invisible because you can't see him. Bet you didn't hear us talk about John Cena on a board game podcast.
Bet you didn't.
Get on that level.
Exactly.
I like John Cena. He gets more hate than he deserves.
He's alright.
He's a good wrestler. He's a lovely actual person as well.
I've seen a lot of good things about all the stuff he's done, which is fantastic.
He's just a nice man. Everyone boos him because he was pushed as this big guy for years and years and years, and his character was rubbish. But these days, like, he turns up, it's gonna be a fun night. If John Cena's there, you're gonna see a good bit of Wrestle Boy.
It's always good.
Yeah. He might throw a man. Ooh.
But
so yeah, wrestling board games. That's my 2 board game ideas. Please don't steal them.
Make it happen.
Is this it? Is this your play? Get us to talk freely, warm us up with talk of souls, and then just put all the ideas out there into the wild. It's not enough you talk about board games that exist. You want theoretical board games as well.
We want ideas.
You're doing board game future magic.
That's what's happening.
Are you doing wizard stuff?
Don't even you dare even. You go all the way through and you just do this at the end.
I don't like your future mancy. There's a word for that, isn't there? What's the real word for that?
I have no idea.
What did Nostradamus do?
Divinity. Prophecy.
Maybe. Yeah, prophecy. That'll do.
Reddy's prophecy.
Mystic Megging.
Mystic Megging. Oh dear. I can see all into your future. Fantastic. We suppose we better stop.
Yeah, what time is it?
It's one of these things that's like, we could just do a quick one tonight, Paddy? And you're like, we'll just do a quick one tonight. What accent are you using? Well, I'm going to use the Portsmouth one. What are you going to? I'm just going to go slightly Lilton Scottish.
I'll put it back in the accent bank.
Put it back in the accent thing. Yeah. Wow.
Don't.
Thank you for coming on.
This was. Thank you for having me again. I know it's been ages. I know we keep trying to do it. We've probably tried to organise this maybe 4 times since I was last on.
I know.
Yeah, real life is the thing, real life, and much like Jurassic Park, life finds a way.
Which is always good.
Yeah, but it's been a pleasure being on again. I really like talking about cardboard, and I've been busting to talk about some of this stuff, particularly Gloomhaven, for a while. I say a while, that's a week, but it feels longer because it's really good. So, yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. This was good fun.
No, it's good. For people that haven't listened before, well, you're wondering, Paddy does a podcast. He does a podcast with a lovely guy called CJ. Paddy is a lovely guy. Genuinely, really, really nice person. Who's better?
I don't like the amount of time you're taking to answer.
It's definitely. I can edit it.
Does my bum look big in this? Well,
Well, what I can do is I can say it's definitely you, and then I can also say, I'm sorry, man, it's CJ. I'm sorry, man, it's CJ. And then what I could do is I could decide which one to edit in.
Okay. And you could even edit in later, like, neither, you both suck, and I'll go, yeah. Oh, thanks, really nice of you.
You do a fantastic podcast called Twin Humanities, which is a lot of fun. There's two sides to it. There is, is it 10-0 the Humanities, which seems to be...
Well, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, it's got a bit confusing recently. So we do primarily, our main big show we do is, and the Twitter handle we do is called Twin Humanities. It's a Dark Souls show. Guess why I'm on here talking about the Dark Souls game? Because I'm that guy. So we do a show about Dark Souls. And unfortunately, at the minute, Dark Souls has kind of ran out.
Yeah.
So that one's kind of dead not dead. It's on hiatus. It's kind of sleeping for a while. We're kind of letting the Dark Souls train sit in the station for a bit because I don't think I can talk about it much more. It's been 4 years now. I can't really go much more than that.
No.
So we also do another show on the side, which has been a bit more active recently, called Oh, the Humanities, and this is more of an everything else show. We talk about other video games we've played. We did a particular show about the Dark Souls board game, which is back there somewhere. We talk about books we've read and animes that we enjoy and mangas that we like. And other forms of media that we have found that we just really enjoy. We like to talk about things that we like, not things that we don't like. So you only get happy show. We've also got coming up, I'm just going to say it, in probably about 5 weeks, we do our Game of the Year show, which is always a good laugh. And we always try and pick some things that you probably haven't even heard of as our Games of the Year. So good luck with that, with guessing what they're going to be, because you're not going to get them. You're not going to get them.
Last year was at Sky...
Because anyone can say, Overwatch.
Was it Skyhawk Anniversary last time?
CJ's one, was Skyforce Anniversary. Yes.
Which I've been playing.
Isn't it good?
It's so good.
Isn't it good, man?
So good.
But we'll always try and pick fun games, and if you like listening to people talk a lot about E3, we did 14 hours on E3 this year, somehow. Ably aided by James Carter from Cane and Rinse. Thanks, James. And at the minute, just to slide all this thing off at the end, we've been playing an awful lot of the free-to-play video game Warframe, which is, if you have any machine that can play it, give it a go. It's weird. It's Space Ninjas. It's really good. And we've done 3 episodes on that so far. We're due to do a 4th soon on the current recent Plains of Eidolon expansion, which is really cool, really, really fun. And we're doing some lore stuff about it because we've both done the big quest recently. And oh boy, it gets weird. But you can find us on the internet, on Twitter, at Twin Humanities. You can find us on the iTunes. Just put Twin Humanities in, you'll find it. We've got a YouTube channel as well. We put all the shows up on YouTube, so you want to have a listen without trying to download a podcast, whatever. You can just go to YouTube and just click one. Give it a listen. They're quite good. I think they're quite good. I really work really hard on YouTube because it's my output.
Yes, that's very, very good. And
that sparred off at the end there, didn't it?
No, and you can find you on Twitter if they want to follow you, and your follow is Paddy Stardust.
Yeah, there's an @ on the front of that, but otherwise dead on.
Definitely. And there's potentially twitter.com/ I guess, somewhere.
User / page.
Something like that. #? !ref. Something like that. I don't know. Blocked. Something. If you want to keep an eye on what we're doing, and I hope your legs haven't gone to sleep if you've been listening to this and expecting an hour and a half long show. It's bonus content, and it's it's our podcast, and we shall talk for as long as we want to. But if you go onto Google and if you search for We're Not Wizards, you will find us on Twitter. You'll find us on Facebook. You'll find us on Facebook.
I'd like you to join my linked book social network.
You'll find us on Instabook, Facegram,
and Snapper.
Yeah, we're also on Bebo, MySpace.
No one's on Bebo.
MySpace.
Mammoth.
You can find us on Mastodon.
Oh, is it called I got it wrong. I guess. I got the wrong giant elephant.
You got the wrong giant kind of pachyderm thing.
Screwed it up.
You can also find us on the normal kind of podcast places, your Stitchers and your Acasts and your Spreakers and your Pod Knives, which we always give a shout out to because they are the loveliest people that do podcasts. You find us on YouTube because our fantastic Podbean hosts who host the podcast automatically put our episodes up on YouTube for us.
What?
Yes, and if you want to find us, and if you go to YouTube...
Whoa, stop. I'm going to stop. Wait, they do that for you?
Yep.
I've been encoding video versions of our show for every single one. I've probably done that 150 times at this point. I used to use Premiere and now I use a program. It used to take me 4 hours a show. I am so angry.
15 minutes, man.
Seething with rage.
15 minutes.
Just do it for you.
15 minutes.
I'm gonna cry.
Show goes live.
I'm actually crying.
15 minutes. It's up on YouTube.
I can't.
Well, with all the tags and the titles. Yeah.
This isn't even a bit. There are actually tears in my eyes.
This is like Gloomhaven all over again. He's having a relapse.
What a disappointing night. Have we at least gone the longest show that you've ever done? Please tell me we're the longest.
Yeah, almost. Pretty much. Except probably the last time we did a show. If you like what you've heard tonight, and you're less disappointed than Paddy is,
this was a mistake.
Then feel free to jump onto Apple Podcasts and please drop us a subscription because that is always very, very nice.
You were going to say drop scribe.
I was going to say drop scribe because my face isn't working properly anymore. It's probably too many Owen Wilson impressions.
Oh. So take us out, Owen Wilson.
Take us out, Owen Wilson. Man, I don't know. I think you just want to... Wow. I'm kind of thinking you just want to leave us maybe a review. It's not a 10, but don't leave us a 10 because that'll make us big-headed, and don't leave us a 1 because that'll make us cry. Leave us a 5 because it's in the middle and it's average.
I think 7.
Hey,
I like 7.
5's better.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, 5's average. 7's above average. You want to be above average.
Well, kind of. But the rating system on Apple Podcasts only goes up to 5, hence the joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just ruined
it.
it.
I think the joke landed somewhere behind me. I think I missed that one.
Turn around.
The joke's on the floor over there. Didn't see it.
And yeah, things. My face isn't working anymore. I've been talking for far too long. Big shout out to people that keep joining us on social media and following us. We're almost at 3,000 followers on Twitter.
How?
No idea.
I mean, no,
idea.
sorry. I mean, well done. That's really impressive. That was just jealousy there, wasn't it?
That was just, 200 subs on YouTube. Yeah, I know. It's just like, what? But thank you everybody who supports us. Remember, as we always say, we always joke about we are the only people that do the board game podcast, but remember to check out other people out there that are doing sterling work that we do, that are supporting the hobby as it continues to grow and gets more and more exciting. So your guys like your Polyhedron Collider, Meeple Like Us, the Broken Meeple with Luke Hector, check out Michael May at Two Can Play That Game, check out Katie's Game Corner who was on the show not too long ago.
That was a good show. I enjoyed
remember
that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I enjoy them all.
These
but
people,
that one was particularly good.
Well, these people put out content on a regular basis for you guys, and they're all all very, very passionate. So, if you like what they do, tell them is the main thing. If you like what somebody does, rock up on Twitter and say, "I like your stuff." You have no idea how much it puts a smile on people's faces. There are only 2 more things to do. One of them, as always, is to remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Master Bruce?
I don't think so, Alfred. I'm sorry, I panicked. I went to bail.
I
panicked. I wasn't ready.
I cracked open the emergency bail.
I just... Need a lozenge.
Oh my goodness. And the second thing is to say goodbye because it's all gone into chaos. So it's goodbye from the rather amazing, the rather wonderful Mr. Paddy Stardust. Say goodbye.
Goodbye. I panicked again. I went to bail again. Goodbye, everyone. This is my human voice.
This is your human. Wow. And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe. Roll sixes.
Don't spill tea over your board games.
That's probably a good ending. Do not spill tea over your board games, or at least watch out for big cups. But until the next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.
But you're Derek Zoolander.
Okay, we're done.